Hey folks, recently got my hands on a Giant Trance. This is a 2017 Trance 2. The redesigned geometry, the redesigned bike from Giant. And since this is the best value to be had, at least in Canada anyway, I wanted to take a closer look at it and see how it's built. As you can see here on the sticker, this is a Giant 2. They have a 1.5 and a 3. It's a large. The same Maestro rear suspension that they actually fine tweaked a little bit since it wasn't providing such a good pedaling platform in the past. You see here the frame is made out of the same super light aluminum that they've used in the past. You have a bottle cage here in the front triangle, and yeah, up here you see the Trance. There is a second color for this bike. This is the lime green, black and blue, I think they call it. They've done a few things this year. They've extended the reach by about 10 millimeters. The chainstays are shortened. I think they are 435 right now. They're not super short, but a lot shorter than before. Bike is boosted front and rear, so 148 in the back, 110 up front, and also lower the bottom bracket a little bit. Torque specs for all your pivots are written on the bolts. That's true for the rocker here, which is actually made of carbon, and same is true down here for the main pivot. At the bottom they're written on the other side. One thing that they haven't learned, Giant hasn't learned yet, is that these new bikes really could use a slightly shorter stem and a wider bars. This bike comes standard with a lot of Giant branded components. You can see Giant Connect stem and bars. Bars are 740 millimeters. Stem is 70. I would replace that with at least a 50 right away if you were to ask me, and probably the bars with the 760. And since we are talking about the bars, nice lock-on grips from Giant and drivetrain from Shimano. You can see the SLX here, 11 speed, the newly introduced one. However, they chickened out and they did not introduce the SLX brakes as well. So what you're getting is Deore 615. Nothing wrong with the brakes, they're actually very good brakes, but they are from the previous generation components from Shimano. You can see here the remote for the Giant branded dropper post. It's 150 millimeters, which is great. I don't like the way they routed the cable here, but talking about cabling, all the cabling is internal here, and yes, there's no rattling. You have the rubber boots everywhere cables go in and out of the frame, so that keeps them nice and quiet. Going down, you can see is a standard. You have a standard headset here, so tapered head tube, inch and 1/8, inch and a half. And what is new for this year is the introduction of the Fox Rhythm forks. This is a Rhythm 34, so you have 34 millimeter stanchions. Actually, the coating here is a bit different from other Fox products to date. It has the grip damper, so they introduced this as an OEM fork that's cheaper. You don't have any clicks here, you don't have 3 positions or anything, and they changed the damper from Fit 4 to grip. Actually works really well, so nothing wrong with that. This is probably something to do with their acquiring certain technologies from Marzocchi a year ago, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Fox float, this is the cap where you adjust your air pressure in the forks or air spring. This is a boosted fork, like I said, so 110 millimeter spacing up front, and you can see the description down here. Fit grip damper, and as usual down here you're gonna have your rebound. You have 22 clicks, so it's the real deal, not some of the RockShox Mickey Mouse that has 3-4 clicks. I kind of liked it, pretty stiff, mid stroke support. It's 150 millimeter, so it's a lot of fork. Definitely for aggressive trail riding or a bit of downhilling if you have something like that in your area. Matching the Fox fork, this is a metric size shock from Fox. This has the extra volume here on the sleeve, and you have the usual 3 positions for your dampening. You have the open, the medium, and the firm. Rebound adjustment is the usual for Fox. This is a 140 millimeter suspension in the rear, and I can tell you that with the redesigned Maestro suspension here, it seems to be providing a better pedaling platform. I'm comparing this with an Anthem from 2015 and the old Trance that I had a bit of experience on. What else? Quick release here for the seat post. Seat post, as I mentioned, it is Giant branded. It's not bad. It has, you have the 2 screws here to adjust the position of your saddle. Saddle is a Giant contact as well. It's not too bad. I've used it a little bit and I can't say anything wrong about it. Looking at the wheels, this is a Giant 27.5. It's 584 by 23. So you have 23 millimeter internal on these rims. The rims are aluminum, 28 spokes. Tires, not that impressed. They come with Performance Series from Schwalbe. You can see knobby neck in the rear. This is a 225, and you have the same Performance Series up front. Where is it? You can't see it. It's here behind. But this one is a 235. You can see here 27.5, 235. The bike comes with tubes, but it most probably you can install these tires tubeless quite easily. Hubs are Giant branded. I don't know exactly who's making it for them, but I've had it in the past and they're pretty bulletproof, so nothing wrong with those. One thing that I don't really like that I saw here is not only that they installed Deore brakes, which are fine, but they installed these Deore rotors, which are for resin only. And in my experience, if you just replace these rotors with the SLX, you're going to get more stopping power from the same brakes. You can see them here, the adapter for the 180 disc brakes. It's 180 front and rear actually. In the rear, same thing, 180 millimeter, as I mentioned. You can see the spacer here. The same discs that I don't like and I would replace right away. And moving over to the other side, you can see the SLX drivetrain. First of all, these are cranks, the new cranks with the asymmetric spider here. SLX, this is actually quite fragile. It seems to show scratches and the color will fade away quite quickly. The good thing about these new SLX cranks is that they come with narrow wide chain rings. This is a 32 tooth. Bike has press fit bottom bracket. This is a Shimano one. It takes the Holotech system. This would be Boost as well. You can see here the front derailleur, direct mount front derailleur delete, just the cover with the bolt. But yeah, if you ever want to convert this to a 2x, actually the Giant Trance 3 comes with a 2x drivetrain. You can do that. Chain is Shimano, so it would be a Shimano 11 speed. And moving to the rear, you can see the Shimano 1142 cassette and the SLX derailleur with the clutch. Good components, they should last forever with good maintenance. For some reason they also included a dork disc here. Rear hub on this bike has 44 points of engagement, that's what I counted, and it's quite noisy, as you can hear it here. Also, if you notice, I have my chain on the 42 of the 1142 cassette and it's not dropping it, so it's a stable drivetrain as opposed to many converted bikes to 1x, which usually drop the chain on the 42. Shifter reminds me of the previous generation drivetrains from Shimano, in which the indexing is not as crisp and as precise. Well, precise it is, it's just not as crisp. It doesn't make so much noise. but it works just fine. It works perfectly fine. Actually, some people might actually like this one better than the XT or the XTR. Just looking at the bottom bracket height, you can see it here, 32 centimeters or 12.5 inches. Again, there's nobody on the bike right now, but yeah, they claim that this was lowered by 5 millimeter, and that's what it is. The bike upside down, you can see there is no protection here on the down tube, and here's a port for your front derailleur cable. You'll be routing through here in case you want to install that. Serial number of the bike, drainage hole for the bottom bracket, and aside from that, the only thing easily visible here is the ISCG 5 mounts for a chain guide or a bash guard or anything else that you might want to attach. Up front, the through axle has a quick release, like I mentioned earlier. So it's a boosted fork, 110 millimeters. You can remove it easily with no tools. In the rear though, the through axle doesn't have a quick release, so you need, this is a 6 millimeter Allen key. Down here written on it is 15 Newton meters maximum force for this through bolt, and fairly easy to do. 15 Newton meters is not a whole lot. You don't need a whole lot on this bolt. And yes, that's your plastic dork disc, in case you want to see it again. In the current configuration with this Giant branded pedals, which weigh about 400 grams, the bike weighs exactly 14 kilograms, which is quite respectable. That is right under 31 pounds. And when it comes to riding it, I mean, even though this is a bike with 150 mil up front, 140 in the rear, this is really playful. I really like playing with this bike. I didn't do a lot of riding since the trails are still super wet around here, but man, that was a lot of fun. One thing that I would probably consider changing is this Giant dropper post remote, which works okay, but I just, for some reason, it doesn't feel right. The position doesn't feel right. It's kind of hard to operate it, and definitely I don't like the cable being so long over here. If you are in between sizes, I would definitely go for the one size up. This is a large bike, and I am confident that if I replace the stem with a 50 millimeter, that would be perfectly good for me. I usually ride medium bikes, so again, if you are in between sizes, I'll go one size up. And overall, I'm quite impressed. This bike is probably under 3,000 Canadian tax in, and it's just a joy to ride. It has good components on it. And that's pretty much it, folks. Hope you found it useful. Have questions, let me know in the section below. Don't forget to keep an eye on my channel and sign up for my Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And until next time, I'll see you on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.